Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just want to do a video on just a few sort of miscellaneous topics, but motivated by Hangout yesterday with on Ranty's channel, and it started when I tuned in. Nathan was just like berating a guy named George Natchuk, who's like a Ball Earth defender, claims to be one of the more technical ones, and he might be close to retired or retired, so he has more time for this kind of stuff. And just Nathan going after him for all the different things. This is a person who like called somebody else's like licensing authority back in the day because he didn't like some of the things that he was saying on his videos against Ball Earth. So, I just jumped on because I wanted to sort of join the party. And this was really one of the funniest Hangouts I've kind of seen in a while. And I'm asking Ranty to publish it because I think it's private right now. But George was literally like shaving. He had an electric shaver out while Nathan was roasting him. And then his dog comes in and he's like licking his dog, kissing his dog during the Hangout. And so like to me, I was just like, it's mad funny. And then so this is somebody who will put his razor down, put his dog down, give him a break from making out with his dog, take a break from that, and then turn around and like go on his whiteboard and start teaching us stuff. So this to me is like, again, I feel like everything going on right now in the world is hyperbole and exaggeration. By God, that's insane. Like the whole world is completely insane. All I'm trying to do now, as of this point forward, August 29th, is just to laugh about it. Because, obviously if somebody is trying to speak to me about serious things, and then once in a while those weekly hangouts that I do about spiritual stuff, like it'll be more serious, but I'm going to try and just laugh more. Really that's all I can do. And that hangout for me personally was great because it sort of reiterated to me that to not take this too seriously, because that's insane. Like these are the people that we have to debate against the shape of the earth. So to me, God's saying like this is not going to go anywhere. It's just George literally has the whole world behind him. And all the Ball Earthers, the ones who defend Ball Earth, they can pick up the phone and call licensing authorities and accuse people of things, or just say that, the guy doesn't understand how to add and subtract vectors, or Kepler's law, or whatever he had an issue with. And I asked George, what if I got in front of a whiteboard and I spoke about reference frames or other things that, but then I just start with the earth is not moving, would that be enough to irritate him to call a licensing authority? Like I'm not a licensed engineer, but I'm a licensed CPA, so George could easily like pick up the phone and call, and do you know that one of your CPAs is a flat earther? And like they could do this. This is the world that we live in. Like I said, they have the whole world behind them. I'm sure if licensing authorities, even if they're not technical, like accounting ones, got wind of flat earth, and those beliefs, I don't think they would do anything because I haven't like violated any like accounting rule, I guess, being a flat earther, stationary earther. But it just goes to show like that they do have power, for sure, because Ball Earth is everywhere, and flat earth is not something that we're allowed to even talk about. And to me, again, that sort of proves that it's true. Like there are, to me, more and more just everything that a person can't talk about that is obvious, like that we're not spinning, and all the financial manipulation and the evil of the US government and all that kind of stuff. What's Mystery Babylon? All these things that, in my opinion, are now obvious. If you can't talk to those things to people who should be interested, like religious topics with Christians, or, what the American government is doing with Americans, you can't talk to Americans about stuff like that, or the earth and its geometry with people who have a background in that, then something's up. To me, it's true. So just on that alone, I know that that the earth is flat and motionless. But You know, because it goes against the consensus, and to me, it's obvious that it's true now. So, you know, they have a lot of power. It for me personally, like I was a little bit bored, honestly. My golf event got rained out, so I had more time, and I was just like, whatever, I'll join in this slam session because I find everything about the debates okay until it gets to people's personal lives, you know, and like trying to go after a person's career, even if that wasn't his actual intention, but it can lead to that, you know, very, very quickly. George knows this, obviously. So, you know, these people are Satanists. So I would just, this video is partially just to warn people out there who are new to the flat earth, ball earth debate, beware, you know, because these people will do it, you know, and again, they have the power to do this. And, the government actually wants this, you know, with this surveillance state, and they have a social credit rating in China, and that's what it is, you know. It's just if we think of the credit or the money supply as like a faucet, and everybody has access to it, rich and the corporations much, much more, but you know, that's our sort of lifeblood. That's why they have this social credit rating. They don't want people taking from the faucet unless they'll worship the government, you know, which in my opinion is part of a beast system. So this is all planned, and they want people like George to make those phone calls and let people know that they're teaching about flat earth and going against the consensus and all that kind of stuff. So we have to be in this world. Unfortunately, in my opinion, I don't think for very much longer, but you know, just be careful out there. You know, that's why I think actually it's a little bit safer to do it person to person. Obviously you can get people who can get physical in that situation. So, you know, if I do it, I'm going to be pretty careful how I do it. And, you know, the level of fervor that I use, but you know, to some extent it's a little bit safer because it's anonymous, at least, you know, like here on the internet, people can find out who you are fairly quickly, even just by me describing, you know, where I live and a few things about me with LinkedIn and Facebook and all those different things. People could find out stuff pretty fast about others. And so, you know, just be careful. I really don't have anything to lose, so I don't care. I was like, in a way, I'd rather George pick on me than somebody else, you know, who has a family and stuff like that. So, you know, pick on somebody his own size kind of thing. He doesn't have much to lose because he's retired, so he needs to find somebody who doesn't have anything to lose either, like myself. So, you know, we can't have him going after people with like a family and kids and stuff like that. So, you know, I just put that out there for others. You know, we've kind of, not saying I'm a martyr, but like we've interacted with these people enough to sort of test their spirit or lack thereof. So, and then we get the rumpus. George's buddy, backup, his security, comes in and then starts calling me a liar because I was saying what George did is trying to undermine a person's career. And then Rumpus is like, no, that's not what he was doing, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, you're allowed to have that opinion, and I'm allowed to have mine. And he's like, you're a liar. And like the thing that is now funny, because, you know, I asked Rumpus, like, well, who do you work for? Like, are you getting paid hourly to be on these hangouts, or a salary? Who's your employer? He won't answer that. And then I'm asking him, this other guy, Philip, that he works with, is even a real person, and what's his background? But then I'm also like, the problem with these ball earthers is that there's so many lies in the government that like we know that they're just shills, like because like they're so concerned about truth with us, you know, like me being a liar. But the problem is there's like an infinite number of lies being spewed by the government literally every day. Like I was just watching financial news, and I'll post a link to this video as well. He's like, why this economist is concerned about the economy, the outlook of the economy. And he's like, yeah, you know, the unemployment numbers were great. And then, you know, I'm like, really? And then so like I scroll, if you go a little bit further in the video, it talks about how first time, let me get the actual figure. But if you go to, at the beginning of the video, he says that, or sorry, roughly in the middle. And then 20, 30 seconds later, it's like initial jobless claims are up 4,000. And so like the guy's like, this is the guy who's, quote, concerned about the outlook. He's like, you know, like things, job market looks good, but then like 30 seconds later, they flash a stat about how initial jobless claims are up. And so like, it's like the number of lies and contradictions in the mainstream news is like getting ridiculous now and obvious. You do not have to be an accountant or anything. You just have to know that fewer and fewer are getting rich, and that's just the way it is. So these people, the Rumpuses, the George, will not call anything against the government, and it's like obvious and it's like blatant, and they're literally robbing people every single day and killing people every day, you know. And this is in the mainstream news about all the wars that America's fighting. So again, I think it's obvious to people now, like it's sort of for entertainment. I'm a bit late to the party and just treat it as entertainment because really that's all I can do to maintain my sanity, and I would recommend others do that as much as they can as well. So you know, the financial news, they're all actors, and no one worldwide is calling it out. They're all in alignment. Either you could know that the whole world is at the leadership is in line, but you can go from the financial angle because they're all just, you know, run by central banks, and no one's talking about the fact that just people are broke, and that's just what it is. Fewer and fewer people have money, and then the money velocity slows down, and then that's what's happening. And then, or you could come from the moon landing hoax, or the sort of granddaddy is flat Earth, and I would say even bigger than that is the mark of the beast. That to me is the supreme truth on Earth right now, and the reason for all of this stuff. So there's many different ways, and then obviously if you add those together, it's obvious. You know, the only thing left to see now is the mark of the beast, but the others are just, again, like obvious that it's happening, that there's coordination worldwide amongst the leadership. So we have a lot of actors, and you would need them at the top to orchestrate these deceptions, but then also you would need people sort of boots on the ground, like the George and the Rumpuses and all that. So just be careful, because they're just basically like market makers, what I call them. They'll just want there to have like gossip and like a debate. To me, sometimes it's okay if you're bored, but just be careful. Again, if you have a family and a career and all that you value, and you're a quote unquote truther. But they're just there to, like, you know, call me a liar and all this kind of stuff. And it's the exact same vibe that was out when Jesus was here. Like, there would just be people there ready to like challenge him, you know, and quote unquote make a market, you know, for these dialogues to oppose the truth. And so that's really what they're there for. They're just actors. They won't talk about God or the afterlife or anything like that. They're just actors. And last thing I want to talk about is this rapture. The term that I want to use now, we'll use going forward, is that the rapture, in my opinion, is a pre-plague rapture. The notion of tribulation is, there is tribulation. There's been tribulation on the earth for forever, probably, but there's always been tribulation. So in my opinion, denoting it as pre and post tribulation is by design, just to create like disagreements and stuff. But the real truth is that the Bible supports a pre-plague rapture. And I'm going to be speaking with ETT, End Times Teachers, tomorrow morning. Probably talk about this kind of stuff too. And so, you know, I just want people to I want to get people's opinions on this kind of stuff. Because again, to me, it's very, very obvious that the Bible supports a pre-plague rapture. And just from being practical, like, we can barely like pay our bills, you know, much less withstand tribulation, plagues, bowl judgments, you know, vials and all this kind of stuff. Like, it has to be, you know, it's like, and that's not even, forget about even the plagues and all that kind of stuff. It's like, people can barely, no one wants to be here because it's stupid, you know, like it's just literally retarded, pretty much everything that's going on. So, you know, what purpose does it serve for a person to sort of, quote, fight through it? Fight through what, really? You know, it's like, live out of a garbage can, go to the jungle, camp outside, you know, like, I'm not trying to be rude to people who are in that situation, but for spiritual people who know that God exists, that's not an option. That's ridiculous, because it puts you in even more danger, in my opinion. So the rapture is pre-plague, and I posted a video recently of a couple clips in the mainstream that, you know, to me it's like kind of like predictive programming, like stuff on the left hand side they'll show us, God will show us through the left and the right hand side. But in this case, the left hand side, what the rapture will quote unquote look like with a Missy Elliott performance recently at the VMAs. And that got, a strike, so I couldn't keep it, so I deleted it. Oddly enough, I posted it again and then just, through my phone, and then that got struck down too. So they obviously have people who are dedicated to that. And so I took those down, but I'll put the links below so people can see it. But that's sort of what I believe, kind of something like that will happen, that UFOs will, once the UFOs are in the sky and they're not government, aircrafts or anything, like, we'll know. And people have encounters with UFOs and they felt, love. They felt something, good when they're around. So it'll be obvious that they're from God, and then people will be taken away. And in my opinion, that's prophesied in Revelation 18:4. It says, "And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plague." So there is an element of responsibility that we don't partake in the sins. In my opinion, you're required to sin here. So there will be a group of people that are taken away, because they don't want to sin anymore, and they're doing what they can to not sin now. And they won't receive of the plagues, which are described in 18:8. "Therefore shall her plagues come in one day." So it's going to be pretty quick. "Death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judges her." So anybody who believes that America's Mystery Babylon, which is what Revelation 17 and 18 are speaking of, know that the destruction will come quick. So we'll be looking, all of us essentially are looking for a time where there'll be sort of relative calm, some feeling of calm, but also knowing that something big is about to happen. And to me, that's what makes this period in human history very, very different, because we've always had chaos and confusion, fair enough, but we haven't also had this amount of propaganda to tell us that everything's fine when it's not, and worldwide. So that to me is a very, very unique feature. And Jesus even said that at the end, people will still be giving unto marriage. Like, it'll be like in the days of Noah, and that's what we have now. Like, even though things are literally falling apart worldwide, financially it's obvious, but even morally, all the wars, all the debates about everything, science is failing. It's not helping anybody. It's just want to jam as much electronics into people and drugs and all that. Like, that's the world that we have right now. And so everything's failing, but people are still kind of pretending like everything's fine. So that's, to me, very, very unique feature of the times that we live in, and it's ripe for the prophecies to be fulfilled, in particular this one. So it's a pre-plague rapture, and it's like, to me, it's obvious. So that's why I know that this is not for very many people. Like I said many times, I barely believe it, because like nothing in our life, in our existence, points to God. Even the quote unquote truth community, the Hebrews and this flat earth and all that, it's a joke. I'm not trying to be rude to any individual, but it's ridiculous. Like, it's insane. We have debates with a guy who we're debating against who's shaving and making out with his dog. And he's one of the sort of chief priests of the ball earth. And then we have another one who's the rumpus, who calls everybody else an idiot. And he's getting angry that Ranty's allowing George to get berated when this guy's a straight demon. Like, he'll call everybody an idiot all the time and all that. No one knows what he looks like or anything. Never suggest a test or anything real to do. And every time that people show him stuff, he just said the light's looming over the curve and stuff like that. So it's like, these are the people that God has set up against us. So the whole thing is a complete joke. It's insane, really, the goings on of the world right now. And so, if it's not true and there is no rescue or whatever, it's just, that's what it is. It's just bad luck, I guess. We just had a really stupid life, really, to be indoctrinated for a majority of it. Let's say the first 20% is indoctrination, and then the next, 30 to 40% is just slaving away for corporation, if you're lucky enough to even have a job. And then maybe another 20% of quote unquote retirement, again, if you're lucky and who knows what your health is going to be like. That's hell. You know, I don't know how else to say that. Anybody who thinks that that's quote normal with when God exists, I mean, that person is an actor, and ultimately, in my opinion, a Satanist, because those are people who do not have a spirit, and so they are the number 6. Number 6 lacks spirit. The 7 includes the spirit, so there'll be people who will, even if they're not overtly worshiping Satan or the beast, they will take the mark of the beast, you know, because they're not spiritual. So this is not for very many people, and I don't say this to boast. We're not morally better than other people at all. We don't even necessarily live better lives than a lot of people who may end up taking the mark of the beast. We just dream of something better. You know, we know that there's something better, and we know that this place is completely stupid and evil, and it's tainted us all to some degree. But there's some of us who don't want it anymore, and so we literally cry out to God every single day to be rescued. And once that happens for those lucky people, America will be destroyed shortly thereafter. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.